Hello everybody, this is Mark Hutten with myaspergerschild.com, and today we're going to talk about the nevers associated with parenting children on the autism spectrum. If you're like most parents, your world changed when you first heard the word Aspergers, or high-functioning autism, used to describe your youngster. And like any good parent, your first inclination may be to learn all you can, find the best doctors, and take aggressive action to fix the problem. But before you launch yourself into action, you might want to get a quick overview of the things that you should not do. Now we have 10 of these, so let's go ahead and get started. Number 1, never put your child in a timeout. Children with Asperger's and high-functioning autism tend to enjoy being isolated because it's less stressful for them and they don't have to socialize with others. For these kids, timeouts can actually be a positive experience for them unless modified slightly. Removing your child from something fun might be a better alternative. For example, if he loves to play video games, perhaps the game controller should go in the timeout area rather than the child himself. A timer can be used, and this will help you be more consistent when applying timeouts. Having said that, you can place your youngster in a time away. Time away is a quiet place where he goes to calm down, think about what he needs to do, and with your help, make a plan to change his behavior. A time away, however, should never be used as a consequence for misbehavior. Rather, it is used when sensory overload is an issue or when meltdowns are gathering up some steam. Number 2, never punish your child for having a meltdown. One of the most important things to realize is that meltdowns are part of the Asperger's condition. You can't avoid them, you merely try to reduce the damage. Punishing an Asperger's youngster for a meltdown is like punishing someone for swearing when he hit his thumb with a hammer. It won't do any good whatsoever, and can only serve to increase the distance between you and your child. Number 3, never reward the Asperger's child after a meltdown for calming down. Some kids will learn that a meltdown is a good way to get a treat later. Simply issue some acknowledgement and praise. For example, I noticed that you were able to calm yourself down. That's you being a big boy. Number 4, never, under any circumstances, give in to a meltdown. For example, let's say that your child has a meltdown because you asked him to stop playing his video game and get ready to do some homework. But since he launches into a major meltdown, you decide to allow him another 10 minutes with his video game just to keep the peace. Now that response will only increase the number and frequency of the meltdowns. Number 5, never assume that your child should act his age. Asperger's children are typically immature compared to their typical peers. For example, you may have a child who's 14 years old chronologically, but know that emotionally he's probably more like a 9 or 10-year-old. And he has the social skills of a 9 or 10-year-old. And so parents should make some allowances for this. Number 6, never make your child move from one task to the next without pre-warning him. Pre-warn your child of any changes and give warning prompts if you want him to finish a task. For example, when you have colored that in, we're going shopping. Number 7, never assume that you always know best. Parents are usually good at observing, describing, and understanding their kids. This is true. Parents also, of course, need to advocate for their kids in school and elsewhere. But even parents don't always know what will work for their youngster, and often an educator or a therapist or someone outside the family will discover a talent, need, or ability or challenge that surprises you. In short, parental instinct is wonderful, but it has its limits. And by insisting that you always know what your youngster needs, you may limit the options available to him. Number 8, never choose treatments based solely on the scientific research. In the best of all worlds, treatments are selected on the basis of multiple independent double-blind studies. If only that were possible in the Asperger's world. In fact, few treatments for Asperger's have been tested in this way, and even those that have are questioned based on the quality of the research. That doesn't mean that none of the treatments are helpful, only that they haven't been fully researched. As a result, it's probably worth your time to look into several of those that seem most available and relevant to your youngster. Number 9, never rush into action. It's true that the research says that early intervention is important. By the same token, however, Asperger's kids grow and develop over time just like everyone else. It's tempting to leap into as many therapeutic treatments as you can, but until you know what's best for your child, it's a good idea to take it slow. And lastly, never worry too much about the whys of Asperger's or high-functioning autism. There are over 24 theories of what causes Asperger's. For example, cell phones, Wi-Fi, vaccines, mercury poisoning, older fathers, genetics, artificial dyes and sweeteners, and on and on and on. In short, unless your child is actually suffering from a physical problem like a food allergy or lead poisoning, worrying about the cause of Asperger's will just drive you crazy. So, these are the 10 nevers of parenting a child with Asperger's or high-functioning autism.